When our granddaddy, my granddaddy, was in the Civil War, he like starved to death and froze to death.
Go ahead.
And did you ever hear that about Grandpa starving and freezing to death?
Grandpa Adams?
Yeah, Grandpa and Mama's daddy. And
Adams.
he was Adams, James Adams. And that's when he was a young fella. And he was he was a messenger in the war, and he had to carry messages from one
in the Civil War.
Yeah, and he carried messages from one headquarters to the other. Now I don't know who.
He didn't have telephone or radio either.
I don't know who that, but he said he was on a horse riding, and he had to carry his message and go to that other fella, and they had to guard him, you know. And when he guarded them, and he was trying to deliver a message to headquarters somewhere, and he got there, and he said the head man that he just had to deliver the message to, they was in the house by a good far, and Grandpa, he rolled up and he had to deliver this message, and he said they was in there by the fire, and then they had guards outside, and he went in there and said he saluted the head men. I don't know who they was, it's some of the head men in the war. He saluted them and said, he said, our men out here is freezing to death. The men is out there in the garden, you know. And he said, can we build up a little fire? And said he looked at them, they was in there by a good fire in a house. And he said, well, says, take this little chunk of fire, a little piece of the fire, you know, and take it out there and build you a little fire, and then all of you get around it so no light won't get out. And he did, and they're going on to deliver this message. He said he was about starved to death. He couldn't get nothing, and there wasn't no man at home. They was all gone to the war, fighting, you know. And he said he stopped at a house, and there's a woman and some little children there. And he rode up and he asked her, he said, have you got anything that I could get to eat? She said, I am starved to death. And it was a cold day, and he was on his horse, and he had a coat. And she said, well, all the bread I got it on there cooking. I guess it was cornbread and cooking it in the oven. And he said, well, would you let me have a little piece of it? I'm starved to death. And she said, she looked at it and said, maybe you can get some more. And she said, well, she'd give him a piece of it, and he gave her a little, she gave him a piece of that hot cornbread, and he put it down in his pocket and rode on, and he ate that as he went. He said that's the best bread he ever ate. He was literally starved to death.
Now, who was this?
Grandpa.
That was Grandpa?
Yeah, that's just Mama's father.
Your mother's?
Your grandfather.
Your mother's father?
No, Jimmy Adams.
That was on the federal side.
The
Union Army.
No, the
Oh, it
Union.
was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing.
No, I think
The
it's
federal is the Union Army.
Yeah. Confederate was the civil.
I think it's the other way, wouldn't it?
No.
I don't know. But anyhow, that's the way he fought, and had to go into it. And he went way over to what they call Resaca, and somewhere and delivered that message. And then Grandma had a brother that went off and never was heard tell of no more in the war. And my Grandpa Brock, he was
Think
in
we got
there,
one, Kate?
and
Yeah, they helped him.
he lost the eye in the war.
He did.
Yeah, he got
You
sick.
mean your grandpa Jimmy Adams?
No, Grandpa Brock, that is
Oh, yeah.
Marion Brock, Marion C. Brock.
Is there gonna be a quiz?
Yeah, there's gonna be a
Yeah.
quiz at the end.
He had the smallpox while he was in the war, and it put out one of his eyes.
I want you to say again what happened to Don at the train.
Well, I was carrying Don, we just went on that train trip, you know, and you had Carl, and I was carrying Don, he was just a baby, and I started to get up on the train, and I couldn't get up with and carry Don, and I handed him up to the porter, and he is a black man, and he literally scared off. I handed him up to that black man, and he didn't know what in the world. He looked up at him, and he
Started
was
crying.
swollen, and I was trying to get on. And I said, "Oh, I'm coming, Don, I'm coming." And he was literally scared to